fists. With one leap, I must be in it. There, I get a smack in the face. A hand clamps onto my shoulder. Has the dead man waked up? The hand shakes me. I turn my head. In the second of light, I stare into it. I stare into the face of Kaczynski. He has his mouth wide open and is yelling. I hear nothing. He rattles me, comes nearer. In a momentary lull, his voice reaches me. Gas, gas, gas. Pass it on. I grab for my gas mask. Some distance from me, there lies someone. I think of nothing but this. That fellow must know. Gas, gas. I call. I lean toward him. I swipe at him with the satchel. He doesn't see. Once again, again. He merely ducks. It's a recruit. I look at Cat desperately. He has his mask on. I pull mine out too. My helmet falls to one side. It slips over my face. I reach the man. His satchel is on the side nearest me. I seize the mask, pull it over his head. He understands. I let go with a jump and drop into the shell hole. The dull thud of the gas shells mingles with the crashes of light explosives. A bell sounds between the explosives, gongs and metal clappers warning everyone, gas, gas, gas. Someone plops down behind me. Another. I wipe the goggles of my mask clear of the moist breath. It is Cat, Crop, and someone else. All four of us lie there in heavy, watchful suspense and breathe as lightly as possible. These first minutes with the mask decide between life and death. Is it airtight? I remember the awful sights in the hospital. The gas patients who in day-long suffocation cough up their burnt lungs and clots. Cautiously, the mouth applied to the valve, I breathe. The gas still creeps over the ground and sinks into the hollows. Like a big, soft jellyfish, it floats into our shell hole and lolls there obscenely. I nudge Cat. It is better to crawl out and lie on top than to stay where the gas collects most. But we don't get as far as that. A second bombardment begins. It is no longer as though the shells roared. It is the earth itself raging. With a crash, something black bears down on us. It lands close beside us, a coffin thrown up. I see Cat move and I crawl across. The coffin has hit the fourth man in our hole on his outstretched arm. He tries to tear off his gas mask with the other hand. Crop seizes him just in time, twists the hand sharply behind his back, and holds it fast. Cat and I proceed to free the wounded arm. The coffin lid is loose and bursts open. We are easily able to pull it off. We toss the corpse out. It slides down to the bottom of the shell hole. Then we try to loosen the underpart. Fortunately, the man swoons and Crop is able to help us. We no longer have to be careful, but work away till the coffin gives with a sigh before the spade that we have dug in under it. It has grown lighter. Cat takes a piece of the lid, places it under the shattered arm, and we wrap all of our bandages around it. For a moment, we can do no more. Inside the gas mask, my head booms and roars. It is nigh bursting. My lungs are tight. They breathe always the same hot, used-up air. The veins on my temples are swollen. I feel I am suffocating. A gray light filters through to us. I climb out over the edge of the shell hole. In the dirty twilight lies a leg torn clean off. The boot is quite whole. I take that all in at a glance. Now something stands up a few yards distant. I polish the windows. In my excitement, they are immediately dimmed again. I peer through them. The man there no longer wears his mask. I wait some seconds. He has not collapsed. He looks round, makes a few paces. Rattling in my throat, I tear off my mask too and fall down. The air streams into me like cold water. My eyes are bursting with the waves. The wave sweeps over me and extinguishes me. The shelling has ceased. I turn towards the crater, beckoning to the others. They take off their masks. We lift up the wounded man, one taking his splintered arm, and so we stumble off hastily. The graveyard is a mass of wreckage. Coffins and corpses lie strewn about. They have been killed once again, but each of them that was flung up saved one of us. The hedge is destroyed. The rails of the light railway are torn up and rise stiffly in the air in great arches. Someone lies in front of us. We stop. Crop goes on alone with a wounded man. The man on the ground is a recruit. His hip is covered with blood. He's so exhausted that I feel for my water bottle where I have rum and tea. Cat restrains my hand and stoops over him. Where's it got you, comrade? His eyes move. He's too weak to answer. We slit open his trousers carefully. He groans. Gently, gently. It is much better. If he has been hit in the stomach, he oughtn't to drink anything. There's no vomiting. That's a good sign. We lay the hip bare. It is one massive mincemeat and bone splinters. The joint has been hit. This lad won't walk anymore. I wet his temples with a moistened finger and give him a swig. His eyes move again. We see now that the right arm is bleeding as well. Cat spreads out 2 wads of dressing as wide as possible so that they will cover the wound. I look for something to bind loosely round it. We have nothing more, so I slip up the wounded man's trouser leg still farther in order to use a piece of his underpants as a bandage. But he's wearing none. Now I look at him closely. He is the fair-headed boy of a little while ago. In the meantime, Cat has taken a bandage from a dead man's pocket, and we carefully bind the wound. I say to the youngster, who looks at us fixedly, "We're going for a stretcher now." Then he opens his mouth and whispers, "Stay here. We'll be back again soon," says Cat. "We are only going to get a stretcher for you." We don't know if he understands. He whimpers like a child and plucks at us. "Don't go away." Cat looks around and whispers, "Shouldn't we just take a revolver and put an end to it? The youngster will hardly survive the carrying, and at most he will only last a few days. What he has gone through so far is nothing to what he's in for till he dies. Now he is numb and feels nothing. In an hour he will become one screaming bundle of intolerable pain. Every day that he can live will be a howling torture, and to whom it does not matter whether he has them or not." I nod. "Yes, Cat, we got to put him out of his misery." He stands still a moment. He has made up his mind. We look round, but we are no longer alone. A little group is gathering. From the shell holes and trenches appear heads. We get a stretcher. Cat shakes his head. "Such a kid," he repeats it. "Young innocence." Our losses are less than was to be expected. 5 killed and 8 wounded. It was in fact quite a short bombardment. 2 of our dead lie in the upturned graves. We merely throw earth on them. We go back. We trot off silently in single file, one behind the other. The wounded are taken to the dressing station. The morning is cloudy. The bearers make a fuss about numbers and tickets. The wounded whimper. It begins to rain. An hour later, we reach our lorries and climb in. There is more room now than there was. The rain becomes heavier. We take out our waterproof sheets and spread them over our heads. The rain rattles down and flows off the sides in streams. The lorries bump through the holes, and we rock to and fro in a half sleep. 2 men in the front of the lorry have long forked poles. They watch for telephone wires which hang crosswise over the road so low that they might easily pull our heads off. 2 fellows take them at the right moment on their poles and lift them over behind us. We hear their call: "Mind, wire." Dip the knee in a half sleep and straighten up again. Monotonously the lorries sway. Monotonously come the calls. Monotonously the rain falls. It falls on our heads and on the heads of the dead, up in the line, on the body of the little recruit with the wound that is so much too big for his hip. It falls on Kenrick's grave. It falls in our hearts. An explosion sounds somewhere. We wince. Our eyes become tense. Our hands are ready to vault over the side of the lorry into the ditch by the road. Nothing happens. Only the monotonous cry: "Mind, wire." Our knees bend. We are again half asleep.